All right, folks. Welcome back to Chapter 7 of Paths of Oromë. And we're going to get started with our introduction as we are wont to do. Let me change the slide really quickly. There we go. And Tet was kind enough to record our intro with his whatever service he uses. Let's see if you guys can hear this okay.
The battle is over. Death has been dealt.
There we go.
Are you playing it?
I was trying to get my hand out first.
I just wanted to
here.
make sure I could hear it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of choppy. I think it's because it's the way it handles paragraphs. I think I should have given it to you as all one block of text. I don't know if you've noticed that.
It works for me if it's like in paragraphs.
Yeah, it spaced it out nicely, very conversational if it was like within the same paragraph. But then if it's like a line break, it would like go from like one word to the next one real fast. Let's see here.
I love in that image, Aerenduil has his hand on a scroll.
Of course.
What's that?
He's about to shoot it.
Paths of Oromë.
So we've got a local convention this weekend, and I'm running 3 games. And I know I put in about 40 hours prep for my Wrath and Glory game, and I'll be lucky to get any players apart from my son. I put in about 8 hours prep for my Fallout 2D20 game. I'll probably get like another 1 player, maybe another 2, maybe. And I put in virtually no prep for D&D, and I'm gonna have as many players as I can handle. And it's like,
Wrath and Glory is no joke. I have to say.
Yeah, I test ran it the other day, and I've made some changes as a result. But it takes work, and then I've got into like doing the terrain and everything as well. So yeah, I really overdid it.
Threatened. Then
That's so weird. It won't let me like just there we go. That stopped. All right, here we go now. Here's the intro. It'll be a little better.
the battle is over. Death has been dealt. Hope has been threatened. Then risen anew like the sun in morning. Now it is a new dawn. Tired and worn and battered and bruised, Finur, Aerenduil and Halmar rest for a moment to slake their thirst and fill their bellies. For the slaying of goblins is weary work. But what of these men from Evendim? Murmuring fills the courtyard of the Dwarf Halls, as tables are hastily erected and salted pork is warmed on crackling fires.
Really bad. Somebody's speaker on?
Mine is not.
No, I got headset on.
No, headset.
The battle, I'll read it. Fuck it. We were just trashing AI before we turn this on.
Do it live.
Let's do it live. The battle is over. Death has been dealt. Hope has been threatened, then risen anew like the sun in morning. Now it is a new dawn. Tired and worn and battered and bruised, Finur, Aerenduil, and Halmar rest for a moment to slake their thirst and fill their bellies. For the slaying of goblins was weary work. But what of these men from Evendim? Murmuring fills the courtyard of the dwarf fort as tables are hastily erected and salted pork is warmed on crackling fires. Something big is happening, though only the most gifted would have a hint of what. The board is set, the pieces are moving, and the dwarves are mobilizing to move. Aran of the Lake sits across from you. My men and I owe you gratitude beyond measure. You reflect well upon the legacy of your fathers, for that is why we are here. to request aid in the lands of Evendim and rekindle the warm relations that have faded between our peoples. He pauses then before continuing. In the days of old, trade and relations were good, but as the veins of the mountains became more sparse, so did the caravans between the halls of Harmelt and our homes on the shores of Evendim. I repeat again now, we call for aid. It is possible that you know some measure about Evendim and its environs. Long ago, the great city of Anuminas lay at its southern edge. And as we open up, it's in a scene very much like you can see here. The battle has been done, and the next morning has come, and you find yourself with the refugees and the messengers from Evendim and the dwarves kind of all deciding what to do next. Everybody can make me a lore check to see how much you know about Evendim and Anuminas, etc.
Didn't say if Aerenduil failed, we're in trouble.
Halmar.
Halmar!
Yes. Well, this just makes sense. As a man, you probably passed through the ruins of Anuminas on your travels east, or travels west, rather, after the Battle of Five Armies. You know, in the days of yore, thousands of years ago, there were kingdoms of men in the north, and of those kingdoms, they splintered 3 times, and one became 3, and those 3 themselves fell to fighting evil in the north and even among themselves, until at last there was one final kingdom of Arthedain, and it had its capital on the southern shores of Evendim in a grand city named Anuminas. And it's rumored that still to this day, the Dunedain, the men of Westerness there, that some small trace of the blood of those elder days still remain in the hamlets and small towns surrounding Evendim. And as you pass through it on your travels, the scenery was almost out of like modern Rome, right? You have but in this case, it's these hamlets and kind of typical medieval villages along this huge lake. But then you have these majestic columns that are still there, that are kind of the ruins of Anuminas and this old civilization.
Yeah, Halmar says, he would basically give everybody the lowdown without me just repeating exactly what you said. He's happy to answer any questions that anyone would have. He says something to the effect that he had passed through there some 20 years ago, and talks about the splendor of all the ancient architecture and whatnot.
And then Aran of the Lake replies to you and says, "Yes, indeed. Perhaps you know more of the history of my peoples than I do, or my brothers here."
Well, I don't know that I know more, but I've heard a thing or two.
Master Dwarf, and kind of looks to Finur. What sway do you have with the Lord of the Halls of Harmelt? It has been many a year since we had an audience with him, but I believe Mjolin is his name.
And Finur sort of rubs his chin through his beard a little bit and says, "Well, I have good standing with the people of this kingdom, but I am not of this kingdom. I have travelled here often, and I bring news. I have stood by their side in many a skirmish like we saw recently, but, whether I can sway this, I do not know. I've never tried to sway the decision of the Lord before. But I will do what I can. for I see the need of your people. And it seems to me the times are darkening, and in such times, those of good heart must stand together.
Good heart indeed, Master Dwarf. I introduce myself again as Aran of the Lake. But you speak with such confidence that the heart of your lord can be swayed. Are not the hearts of dwarves known to be as immovable as stone? I fear the worst. But perhaps with your counsel in his ear, Lord Mjolin will see our plight. Yes. My people have weathered so much lately. We have sent strong men into the wilderness, none return. Goblins are harrying my people.
You say change his mind. Have you asked him for aid before? It is one thing to form a dwarf lord's opinion when first a matter is broached, but if he has already made a decision, why then it is almost surely beyond my power to change it.
Aran of the Lake slowly shakes his head. Nay. As I said, there's not been a caravan between the halls of Harmelt and my hamlet in, well, as long as your friend has been here, over 20 years. And these goblin raids are a new thing.
Well, the goblins threaten all of us. Perhaps I can convince him that a proactive strike, we wouldn't say proactive, that an early strike against them will be a strike not just in your defense, but in ours. I will see what may be done.
Your counsel will be most appreciated, Aran says, and he adjusts the bandage on his head, and you see there's like a giant gash over his left eye. And what do I owe the pleasure of an elf among our company this day?
Aerenduil, who looked distracted but was paying attention, he has some of his scrolls, some of his paper out, and his quills. He's been paying attention, but he's also been writing down the events that have been taking place so far, the battle, the conversations between men and dwarves as they, as they make their plans. He's aware that he's writing down the histories of what's taking place in his time during his time here, and he looks up at Aran when he comments on the elf, and well, my good sir, I'm simply here as an observer to take note and to help where I can. I'm writing down the histories of this. I'm writing down your words. I'm writing down the actions of the brave dwarfs and the men working together. It's just something I've been want to do for a long time, and I find myself in the company of these two here. And he nods to the two at his side. I find myself in their company now. Why this is a natural fit for them, it would seem. I'm not quite so sure I'm in the right place at the right time, but I thank you for allowing me a place at this table, if nothing more than to record your history. I think that someone should take note of this place and this time, and he looks around, and these faces, these names. Surely, in the future, someone's children will want to know who they were.
You are entirely too modest, Aerenduil. Your archery in that battle, your mastery, your courage were considerable. And I'm sure that I owe my life to you and Halmar. I, for one, am very glad you are here.
Thank you, Master Dwarf. But I am sure we all owe our lives to each other. And it's something that we can all be grateful for and kind for. I owe my life to you both. And then he looks around the room again, and to the rest of these men and these dwarves. We all owe our lives to each other. And for that, I'm appreciative, and I understand it is my duty to record this for the sake of everyone else who comes after us.
Aaron nods at both of you, and he chuckles. And you look across the table at his blood and soot-smeared face. He has the grim determination of a survivor, and he says, Histories written on parchment, turned to tales and stories told around a campfire, turned into grand songs sung by bards one day, Master Elf. Your task is not in vain, although you think it small. But I do think, Master Dwarf and good sir, we should make haste. Our need is dire, and if the Dwarf Lord's heart is not so easily moved, this could take some time. Would you accompany us on the rest of the journey? According to my scouts, the entrance to the halls are only a day, 2 at most, to the north.
Aerenduil looks to the others to see their reaction before he, says anything.
Don't know what else I have to do. Helping good folk is always worthy of a trip, especially only a day or 2.
How are my relations with the Lord of... What was his name again?
I don't know how you pronounce this. It's in the book. Mjolin. Here, I'll put it in the chat.
Okay.
It's Mjolin.
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 Mm.
Mjolin.
Mjolin, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to go into the history of Harmelt, but yeah, we can do that here. You know somewhat of Mjolin, and his reputation is a mixed one. Through no fault of his own, mostly he's a fine enough leader. He's a wise enough leader, but he was born at a time that the northern parts of the Blue Mountains are just simply going dry. The gem mines have gone dry. The silver veins have all been mined, and the wealth of that region is stagnated, if not dwindled, over time. And truly, Mjolin is kind of getting into his older years. He's not past his prime yet, but that is over the horizon. All of us on this game know how that is. And yet, it's he's there's rumors that he's got this last itch to go do something grand, but he's tied to the stewardship of this kingdom, and that is his duty, and that is his charge, and that is where he's remained, and so it's made him somewhat embittered.
Okay. Could be a lever though. Okay, yeah. So you were going to say a little bit more about the history.
Yeah, that's the history is that, yeah, again, used to be a very center of wealth and industry. Not even that the dwarves would hoard it all, but as Aran insinuated, there used to be trade between the dwarves of the Blue Mountains and the men that still live around Lake Evendim. But as that wealth has dried up and the north has become more wild, and the influence of the Dunedain has waned in some regions, that doesn't happen anymore. So this once grand dwarf kingdom has stagnated somewhat.
I presume it wouldn't be well looked upon for me to take like a big load of these people right into the heart of the of this small kingdom. So, I will. Finur turns to Aran and says, "I think it best if you and maybe 2 or 3 of your closest companions come with me and my companions to make your case before the Lord." Is he a king or a lord?
He's a lord of a hamlet or a little town along Evendim, yeah.
Okay. I know, I was thinking of Mjolin.
Oh yes, he's a dwarf lord. He is the dwarf lord of Harmelt.
So what would be the right title? Just Lord Mjolin?
Yeah, Lord Mjolnir.
Okay. Say, we will petition Lord Mjolin to come to your aid. I think perhaps this will give him the opportunity for great deeds that a leader of his caliber craves. But
Aran
is saying that he doesn't look at all certain.
Aran looks at his companions that are at the table with him, and they seem to nod in agreement. That sounds reasonable to me. We do have wounded. If you could tend to them or offer them aid here in the fort, I would appreciate it. And if ever an alliance is rekindled among our people, you will have my personal thanks. My firstborn will be named after thee. And his men laugh a little bit.
Nods and isn't quite sure what to say to that. Well, we'd best see what happens first. I think perhaps we should rest up overnight and head off in the morning. Because the battle happened overnight at night, right?
Yes.
It was after the orcs, the goblins came. This
is like it's overnight. Like it's just dawn, so like you guys could definitely rest up and leave the next day or something.
Cool, sounds good. Because if they're injured, they'll probably travel better after that.
Did we bring our horses with us? I don't remember. I don't see why we wouldn't, I guess.
Yeah,
I think you did.
Yeah, we did.
You would.
Okay, I was just curious.
So, Aran of the Lake and the companions from Evendim are met with the hospitality of the dwarves, and their wounds are tended to, and perhaps more than the dwarvish first aid, it's perhaps the ale that dulls the pain that they find most helpful. That day passes through, and supplies are gathered for a small envoy that'll travel 1 or 2 days north to the halls of Harmelt. The lieutenant or captain, whoever's in charge of the fort, would, I think, very reasonably recommend that a contingent of dwarves that are armed kind of go along with you guys as an escort, considering the goblin raids that have all been happening. And so the next day passes, and you guys can role play anything you want to do to prepare, and then we'll leave the next morning, and we'll just move on to the halls of Harmelt and the approach after that.
Yeah, sounds good. I don't think Finur would have anything particular planned. Anything you two want to do?
I don't think Halmar would really have much to do here in this dwarven hole. It wouldn't be he's happy to talk to, any dwarves around and kind of make merry with him. He's pretty comfortable around dwarves, but nothing specific.
Aerenduil will hold on to a tankard of ale that he'll nurse a single tankard kind of throughout the entire evening, as dwarves and men are drinking and telling stories and kind of remembering the details of what just took place and the battles that they were fighting. And he'll kind of insert himself off to the side and make note of their names and of their stories, and interject for clarity on occasion. Oh, and then what happened? What action did you take after that? Clarifying questions and comments, and make note of everything as these men are enjoying a victory, and he'll spend the majority of the evening and night, as long as they're up and rejoicing and drinking and retelling their own stories. He'll be up there all night, just kind of going from group to group, just kind of off the side, listening to their stories and nodding in agreement, while the whole time just making note and kind of writing some things down before he heads back to his room to meditate for a few hours before we leave.
And after you're done with that, you kind of, before you leave and after you end your meditation, you look at your scrolls that you've carried cradled in your arms at all times, and you notice that the scroll pile has grown by a couple. And you realize that this small thing you offer, this small gesture of writing these things down and passing on these tales, Finur took note of it, and also did Aran, and you might be on to something with what drives certain dwarves in this situation. And so the next day comes. What does it look like as you guys leave Elbaz, which is the name of the stronghold, at dawn the next day?
Yeah, Finur will be striding at the front of the group. For those not used to traveling with dwarves, his pace is surprising. But anyone who is used to it will know that they set a kind of, despite their stride length, they set a brisk and untiring pace, and he can keep this up all day. So he just settles into his traveling pace, which is not a slow pace, and heads out on the road. And he'll be talking to the leader of the group of dwarves that's accompanying them, and making kind of polite conversation.
Yeah, Aerenduil will make his way to Pheloth and wrap his scrolls up in scroll cases and attach him to Pheloth's side near his saddle and the other gear, and he makes sure everything is secure and attached properly, and he leads Pheloth along with the other dwarves and men, and walks alongside all of them, just kind of looking around, taking in the fresh air. He takes a deep breath and sighs as he heads off to his next adventure.
Halmar, he leads Dark Lady, his black mare, along the sides of the marching numbers. He's fairly quiet during this. He's used to traveling on the road, so he keeps his eye out. He will ride sometimes up and down the column, just making sure everyone has what they need. If he can, provide anything for them, he would go and scavenge if need be, that sort of thing.
And as you set out for the day, the first day of travel is almost as you see it in this picture here. You leave the safety of the dwarf fort behind and follow the course of a river, and you can smell pine trees in your nostrils. You camp the first night, and things go very well. On the second day of travel, though, the front of the column kind of puts a halt down upon the line and calls you up on your ponies, kind of towards the front, and you see kind of a pile of dead goblins there blocking the path. One of them has a dagger just sticking out of its back.
And the dagger, does that look like a goblin dagger, or does it look like something else? Dwarven, human?
Yeah, why don't you give me a lore. Anybody else that examines it could do lore as well.
Yeah, Aerenduil rides up to the front and dismounts off Pheloth, and he's looking at the dagger. He's looking around. He's looking at the ground. He's looking for anything that might be disturbed.
I'm rolling off the chain tonight.
Don't like
Great
that.
success. Great success.
Did you add 2 to the eye awareness? Because I think it should only been
It's
one
every
for
time.
me.
Yet somebody else rolled an eye but still succeeded, and I get to add an eye anytime anybody rolls an eye outside of combat.
But if a roll's favored and you roll it on the
Oh,
Yeah,
you're right.
I rolled an eye, but my thing was favored, so the eye doesn't count.
You're right.
because I just see we're getting a little close to the threshold.
Technically.
Actually.
13, Raz. I changed it back to 13. So who has that mysterious dagger in their inventory? Is that
I do.
okay? The hilt looks exactly like that one that's strapped to your belt, and the blade looks exactly the same too.
So
yeah, go ahead.
So Aerenduil, when he dismounts off Pheloth and he joins the other two around this goblin, he's looking at the dagger and he's looking around, and immediately it strikes him when he looks at the dagger. He reaches behind him on his belt, and he pulls the dagger out and he shows Halmar and Finur. It looks to be from the same location. Men from the east.
No, you don't. You never identified where that thing was from. You failed it. You failed the lore roll.
Did I?
It still says mysterious dagger. Yes.
Oh, I guess because I assumed it belonged to the other men that we identified being from the east, so
You did.
I assumed it was
Halmar,
theirs.
here's how I'm going to play your success. You notice this scripting along the hilt. That is, it's from Arthedain. It's like it's a Western-esque dagger. Does not belong anywhere near a goblin. This is one of the things you picked up on your travels west.
So the dagger was like just in the possession of a dead goblin, or like sticking in a dead goblin?
It's sticking in a dead goblin.
Yeah,
Yep.
he looks at well, I have seen work like this before. I must say it's an Arthedain dagger, I would say, perhaps. One of the old kingdoms.
In the old kingdoms. Well, we know it likely wasn't another goblin. It wasn't a fight between two angry goblins arguing over a piece of meat. This dagger is too intricate to be of goblin make, obviously. Arthedain, you say? And do I know anything about Arthedain or...
You've researched some of it, but it's not anything that you've ever poured yourself into in your
Yeah.
105 years.
Okay.
In this case, Halmar might know even more than you, being a dude, being a man.
Yeah.
I don't know. Halmar is from the east of the Misty Mountains, so he might not really know.
I was saying, according to your role, you must know something.
Yeah, he knows. He passed
Yeah.
through there, so.
I was about to say Aerenduil's a dude too. Don't be confused by the hair.
Elves don't count. They're not dudes.
Yes, well, this just creates another layer of the mystery, doesn't it?
It could be that this was stolen, and it was orcs killing each other.
Well, that's very true now. But any orc or goblin that would kill another of their kind with a weapon such as this wouldn't just leave it behind. It would be a trinket, a treasure, something they would want to take with them before they left. They wouldn't leave it to rot inside one that they've just murdered.
Wouldn't that be the same for a man? This is a fine blade.
Right. How would I rate it as a blade?
It's of good make, yeah.
That would be a craft check there, Finur.
I just want a free result.
He asked and he answered. That's all there is.
I know.
Yeah, so Finur will kind of be looking at it and he'll be scratching his chin again through the beard and he'll say, well, to me it seems more likely that this was a man. For the only reason I can think of to discard such a fine blade is that you do not wish it back once it's been sullied with orc blood. And no orc would think like that. I can see no other reason. And he'll pull the dagger from the wound and examine it.
Yeah, you examine it, and it's an excellent make. It certainly has not been cared for. Part of it's rusted, and there's a lot of scuffs along the hilt.
Do I reckon it's something that I could neaten up?
Certainly.
Okay. I'll say, well, it has not been well cared for, but it is a fine blade under this. I think I can make good use of it. Unless you wish it, Halmar, for it is a thing of your people.
That's a bit dainty for me.
Well, one man's dainty is another man's fine craftsmanship. And he winks.
While they're talking, Aerenduil has started looking around to see if the brush is disturbed, see if there's any indication as to what direction the assailant ran off in, or if there are any tracks or anything like that.
Yeah, give me hunting. Or let me see, or wasn't there just one scan? Yeah, hunting or scan. Great success. Yeah, whoever had the theory about the infighting seems to be right. It just looked like this was an orc ambush or something. Maybe it was destined to ambush you that fell to infighting, and you just see the area around there is just disturbed for no rhyme or reason, but there's just only kind of one set of footprints in, and with that great success, you're confident it's infighting. Like,
Yeah.
these run soldiers had this blade.
Aerenduil, looking at the brush, looking at the disturbed grass and foliage underneath, looking at maybe what's a set of prints that would only belong to another goblin, comes back to Halmar and Finur. Well, I take it back. It looks like it may have been other goblins, some fighting between them. All of the signs over there, the brush, the tracks. It looks as though there was a battle, a fight between orcs, between goblins. I'm not sure what they could have been fighting about. Maybe it was just an argument. But it looks as though it was between them. One of them got stabbed, the others ran off, left their knife.
Well, there we go. Shows that can be wrong after all. He gives a broad grin. He goes, well, it will be an even greater pleasure to reclaim this old blade.
But at least we are aware that there are goblins in this area. We need to make sure that we are alert and on the lookout for them. Let's let the other men know.
Finur nods and he passes the word to the other dwarves. And I think you said there were a few of these goblins here, like piled up, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll move them off the road. If it's like this, we'll just throw them into the gorge.
You take these orc bodies to the train station.
Actually, I know what we'll do. We will burn them. That's what you do with orcs. You don't leave them to sully the wilds. You burn the darn things.
And the next scene is the train kind of cresting over a ridge and starting to come over towards the halls of Harmelt, and they kind of look down into this golden dale. And kind of from miles behind them, you kind of see this wisp of smoke spiraling into the air, coming from the burned orc bodies. And as this kind of dwarvish expedition crests the ridge and starts to go into this dale, you see these like giant golden halls before you. Let me see if this bring this up. And as you kind of go into the dale, the sun begins to set. You don't see any evidence of any foul play or anything else having to do with goblins. And as they see your expedition, like these giant horns start to blare.
Aerenduil, when they start coming over that little crest and they see this off in the distance, his eyes get a little wide and he catches his breath just a little bit. The sun's setting and it's kind of like golden hour. He sees it on all the dwarves that are marching forward, the way the light is shining on them. And he just takes it all in, the grandeur of it all. In almost a sense of disbelief at everything that he's been experiencing and been through up until this moment here. Never before thinking that he would, be in such great halls of dwarves and in pitched battles along dwarves and men. He's just kind of taking it all in and contemplating what it all means and how it all feels to him personally.
Just as he's kind of having that moment of awe, it's interrupted by Finur, who kind of nudges him and says, "Now, I mean no insult to the stonemasons of your people. In its way, the Great Havens is fine stonework, but I think you'll agree that we are still the masters of this craft. Look at how it blends with the living rock. There's nothing quite like it, eh, lad?"
Yeah, Aerenduil looks down at him and looks back up. He looks back up at the great door there. On each side, the giant carvings of statues. It's really quite amazing, Finur. It's really amazing. Yes, I agree with you. Now, of course, I am partial to elven make, and it has its own charm, but in such grandeur, it would seem like that's all it is right now, is charm. With this is solid, this is strong, this is meant to last. This is meant to last for centuries upon centuries. Well, my people might be here for a long time. Our architecture isn't designed to last as long as we. But you, look at this. And he kind of motions to the doors again, to the etchings and carvings. It really is quite beautiful.
And Finur looks up at him and smiles and says, "Ah, you're seeing it. The strength. That's the difference, the strength. We build for endurance. Yeah, your people build for beauty, and there is something to be said for that. Yeah, and they have strength to their work, and we have beauty to ours. But that is the difference. The aim here is to endure as the dwarves endure."
What does it mean when someone not as long-lived builds something that lives twice as long as they do, and then another group who lives twice as long, what they build disappears before they do? Is that just the natural way of things, that we do the opposite of what our livelihoods determine? Are we always meant to be temporary?
Finur frowns and rubs his chin again. Well, that I cannot say. I've never been a deep thinker, and such things have never crossed my mind before. I just know that this is the way of it. I think it's simply that, well, your people build for one thing and mine build for another, nothing more. I think you have more poetry in your soul than I do, Aerenduil.
And when they get close to the doors, Aerenduil runs his hand along the intricate carvings. Well, I don't know about that. And he's running his hands along the carvings. By the looks of this, your people have plenty of poetry in their souls.
Finur just looks at him and smiles and nods. Said, "Aye, of a kind, lad, of a kind." And then turns around and says, "What of you, Halmar? Have you ever seen such a sight before?"
No, not that I recall. Can't say I know much about it, except, it's impressive. But I've never been a mason. Can't really tell you the intricacies of how great it is, or for dwarf or elf. But impressive, nonetheless. I'll let you debate the reasons why things are as they are. Just feel not so bad about creating something and it only lasts half your lifetime. Your lifetime could be over in a moment and you could have made nothing. Take what blessings you give and get. For others may pass away without leaving their mark on this world. Isn't that the way of men? Except the truly special?
Have we not just heard that the ruins of Numenor still endure? But I must say, Halmar, by your standards, this is poetic indeed. I think these gates have inspired even you. And he gives him a broad grin and a wink.
He kind of grumbles and then falls into silence. Like, I'm not gonna say anything else.
And Finur turns around and winks at Aerenduil as well.
And Will smiles at that and nods. I think you're right. I didn't think Halmar's quite the poet.
Hmm.
And as they get closer to the halls, the doors just groan and swing open. And there are guards at the door that kind of chuckle as you start to enter the halls. And they say, "Ha! Do not think that the ears and eyes of the dwarfs are as dull as the elves say they are." And they look Aerenduil up and down. "Our scouts saw you from leagues away, especially with that fire you set of those goblins. Thank you for cleaning up the mess. More and more goblin patrols these days. But I suppose that's what you're here to see Lord Mjolin for, no?" And then as Aran kind of walks by, he kind of stops you briefly and says, "Do you not know that men of your kind already came here for aid and was sent away by the Lord?" And Aran just looks flabbergasted and like he doesn't understand. "Nay, nay! We have sent no leaders of ours forth. If anyone came here in the name of Lake Evendim, it was an impostor." And then the guards looks Aran up and down. "Huh! It is not my place to judge, but you carry even the same daggers." And he kind of looks at you guys. "Here, I will show you to the throne room. Lord Mjolin is holding court at this minute. You're in luck."
And despite him saying we're in luck, Finur's face, hearing that this has already been rejected, even if it is just a under false pretenses, he's looking a lot less optimistic, and he says to Aran, he says, "We will do what we may, but perhaps the Lord's mind is made up. A dwarf's mind, once made up, is hard to change. But perhaps we can convince him that, as I believe is the case, he's made up his mind based on false evidence. I will try."
And as they're walking in, and that dwarf says that about us carrying similar daggers, Aerenduil raises an eyebrow, and he turns to Finur when he hears that. "You definitely must ask him about that. Obviously, we were not here, and we did not ask for any favors, but whoever was carrying these daggers was here asking for favors. We need to know more. We need to learn when and where."
Finur nods. There is more to this than I like it not. You're sure it was goblins that killed those others back there?
From what I could tell, yes. Now, how they acquired such a dagger, I do not know, but the scuffle that took place.
Doesn't it seem obvious? The ones that came from here passed through the way we came, perhaps going the same way, and were waylaid by goblins and the fighting. The dagger was left. Perhaps they fled from the goblins afterwards, or something along those lines.
or either it was another group of men who were waylaid and their daggers taken and then used against each other by those goblins, or it was another group of men with ill intent who somehow happened to arm other goblins with their daggers. Either way, we don't know for sure. What are the chances that that dagger found here is the same as the dagger we found in our initial battle, our initial fight along the river after the flood, when we found the stone that led us on that first adventure to the island? There's something bigger going on here. And I think it goes beyond just a simple, these men were waylaid and a dagger was used. But I don't know, that's why we must ask. We must find out more details about the men who came and asked for assistance. That will give us more information.
No, I feel like we are paddling in the shallows of a great dark lake. Something stirs in the depth, and I cannot see it. I like this little. But you're right. We must make the most of the situation we find ourselves in. We cannot change these circumstances. We may only make the best of them. Well, we will do what we may. And he follows the dwarf they're following.
You head into these halls, and it's as if the whole place is gilded. It's as if Lord Trump lives here. It's everything golden. It's all golden. But you notice too that there's a starkness to it. Perhaps there used to be more ornamentation or jewelry, but things are simpler now, and perhaps the wealth of this place has been sapped the long ages of the Blue Mountains. The only mountain range really that used to be also part of Beleriand. And so eventually, though, you are taken by the guard all the way into Lord Mjolin's throne room. And even from outside, you hear him holding court, but he politely stops as you are led into him, and you are met with his very kind of hulking form. Let me see here. Throne of Mjolin. Yeah. As you're ushered in to see him, Lord Aran, and of course your company, you see him sitting upon his throne. He's a giant bearded dwarf with a huge hammer folded over his lap. He's in full battle armor, even though he's just probably making policy, likely a testament to his strength and his will to adventure. And as you walk into the chamber, he goes, "Ah! More visitors from the east? Didn't I already send you?" Oh, and then he sees Finur at the head, and Aerenduil and Halmar. "Oh, ho, ho! To what do I owe this twist?" "Finur, it has been a long time since my eyes have set upon thee, but my mind is sharp as ever. But these two, they are new, and they come with visitors again."
Finur will approach and he'll bow, he sort of says, "I have no doubt that your eye and your arm, your eye is as sharp as ever and your arm is as strong as ever, my lord. Lord Mjolin, may I present? This is Aerenduil of the Elves of the Grey Havens, and this is my old friend Halmar, who stood at my side in the Battle of the Five Armies."
Battle of Five Armies? With that, it piques his interest.
He was
Pray
but a
tell.
youth. He was but a youth at the time, and we, from two different forces, found ourselves pushed together in the press of battle. And we fought back to back until neither of us could wield our weapons anymore. But then, by some grace, the battle ended. And it is many years since I have seen him, but some strange fate has thrown our paths together again. And then he says, Halmar, Aerenduil, may I present Lord Mjolin. And
Lord.
he'll give any titles that Mjolin has as well.
Yeah, Halmar would give a slight bow.
Yeah, same with Aerenduil. His hands are kind of pressed together in front of him as he gives a slight bow and nod of the head.
We are here with these men of the lake. Maybe I shouldn't say that. These men of Lake Evendim. But I am somewhat perplexed, my lord, for they tell us they have sent no emissaries in this direction, and yet I hear that emissaries claiming to be from Lake Evendim have arrived here at this very hall. I'm confused.
All right, we're going to go ahead and we'll just get into it since Wand has a stop date. It's about an hour from now, right? Is that about right?
It is, yeah. Thanks.
Well, I think we'll have plenty of time. We'll just get into the council. So Finur, that role play is excellent. That was an excellent introduction. So I'm going to tap you to make an introduction, whatever it might be. It could be courtesy. It could be,
I'm going with courtesy, yeah. And I'm going to spend a hope on this.
Okay.
Oh, we got it off.
Okay, that is an automatic success. So your introduction bonus, for failure, the bonus is 0. For success, it is 1 plus the number of 6s. So yours is 1. This is a bold create. Okay. So he kind of looks at you guys. I want to change this music. I don't really have anything good for dwarves. I'll just put on Rohan.
Gonna say diggy diggy hole? No? Okay.
Can't go wrong. Yeah, Mjolin looks at you and says, "Well met, Finur. Your tongue is gilded as always. I should have kept you in these halls as my personal messenger, but your feet ever strayed. They were not tied to duty here, as are mine own." He stands up and pushes on his hammer. "But I have strength still, these minds will tell." And all his yes men around him just kind of nod their head. "These men indeed have come before me already, bearing daggers like the ones on your belt. How strange and how odd. But I sent them away." And he kind of looks over at Aran and gets too close to Aran, as if Aran could probably smell Lord Mjolin's beard and what he had for lunch. "You look like a rather wholesome lad. What be your name?" "They call me Aran of the Lake. I'm a minor lord of a small house near Lake Evendim." Mjolin stands back. "You have a sour look about you, but you feel fair. You seem like a good lad. Not at all like these chaps that came wandering here. Slant-eyed and swarthy they were. Dressed like you, indeed, but of altogether different bearing. Something didn't sit well with me, and I sent them away completely.
Yeah, with that, Halmar looks around, is like looks at Aerenduil and looks at Finur like, did you hear that? Am I putting two and two together, sort of thing?
And yeah, Finor will pull out the dagger and look at it. But he's not going to be the one to speak because he's not sure enough of his ground. Plus, it's someone else's turn.
And he'll ask a question if anybody wants to ask, just for fuel for the fire. Can I ask where you came across such blades?
Aerenduil reaches into his the little waistband scabbard he has the dagger tucked in, and he pulls it out and he turns the hilt towards the Dwarf Lord. And he gives a little bow and says, Master Dwarf, may I approach? As he, has the hilt of the dagger pointed towards him.
Indeed, Master Elf.
And Aerenduil walks up to him slowly, cautiously, and he holds the dagger forward with the hilt facing him. Said, this dagger here, it was taken in a battle. It was two seasons ago. There was a great flood down the river. It was taken off of a man who was fighting for something arcane, something that we could not explain at the time. It affected my kin, my kind in the Grey Havens. And yet we found it again here, only yesterday, or earlier today, on our journey here. And you say other men came forward bearing the same weapons, and he offers him the dagger. Was it this design exactly that you say you saw? If I can question you, sir.
Indeed it was. And I know some of such matters. There is only one place that these can be from. Do you know, Master Elf? This is your check. Do a lore. Dolph.
Nice.
That's one success.
Dolph's all the way.
You start to think about any stories you've heard about this region, and now you put two and two together because you've always heard about a tale of this king that was fleeing an evil from the east, and he took the last bit of his kingdom and made his home in the most northern part of the Blue Mountains. And there he made almost his last stand till the end of his days, carrying relics and riches and so forth and so on of his culture until that kind of last bastion of his kingdom. And now you put two and two together and you realize that must have been a place, last stand of one of the kingdoms of the north of old. And you probably put two and two together now with that Gandalf that, Galos the Bold was pilfering that area, and it's most likely that that entire area has been taken over with orcs and goblins and so forth and so on.
And Aerenduil looks at him. Well, yes, Master Dwarf. I admit that at first, when I first encountered it, a season ago, I was not aware of where it came from. But after receiving the one we did earlier, we received it as stuck in the body of another orc. And knowing the history of this place, again, I did not put it together a season ago. But as it comes together now, and we find ourselves here, and listening to your words, I have to admit, it is probably a kingdom now, an older kingdom, overrun by the beasts, the orcs, the goblins, to the east here. But what men came to you is what I'm curious about. Came to you with the same design, asking for aid, and what kind of aid were they seeking from you? If I could be so bold to ask.
They sought dwarves to make war upon the goblins. At least that is what they said. Again,
Did they give you any indication as to what direction they were going and how far a ride it was before they returned?
nay. I sent them away for the reasons I mentioned. I'm a man of instinct, of great appetite, and I trust those more than anything else. They did not have a fair air about them. They felt foul and wicked.
Aerenduil nods and
Oh,
backs up again, and resheathes the dagger.
Well, if goblins have infested the northern part of this kingdom, perhaps he kind of looks at his yes men on either side. Yes, yes. Perhaps an adventure. Perhaps I could take a force north to those abandoned mines. Retake it!
But
Start a
question.
kingdom afresh.
When you were talking about his, he wants to make a big, move again before it's over. Was that public? Were you saying that as an aside, or did someone say that in character?
No, Finur knew that information
Okay,
about
so
him.
I don't necessarily, so that's fine. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, from those words he just spoke, he's making it clear, though. And so, just for reference, let me. Yeah, here's. Let me activate the travel map real quick. So, there was the outpost, and you just traveled, the one day to the halls of the dwarves. The place that the story was talking about is the old dwarf mines, that legend. And then for reference, Lake Evendim is literally like a couple hexes, to the east of here.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is actually the hills of Evendim up here, so that's where we're at for reference.
It's not.
And I do have a Council of Mjolin.
Close.
Yeah, and you get the sense that he wants to take an army to just retake that and not care about the request of the people from Evendim or a Numenos area. Yes. He goes, we could march north, we could prepare, it would take a month or so, but we could retake the old dwarf mines, yes. It would be a thing of legends. What do you think, lads? And he starts to almost forget about your presence there.
Aerenduil looks to Finur and kind of leans into him just a little bit. Do you think a month's time is something that we should be doing? If anyone there is in need of aid, they're in need of aid now, not in a month's time.
Halmar speaks of his. Perhaps we could convince him for advanced force. Maybe someone, a group of dwarves Finur could lead. And then we can leave right away.
Aye, a smaller group could travel faster. I will try.
And he steps forward and says, "Mighty Lord Mjolin, your offer is generous, as befits your generous spirit. But if you will indulge me a moment, I would ask even more. The need of these people is dire, and a month from now, who knows whether any of them would survive. I ask if you will indulge me by allowing me to take a few men. I and my companions here, and these men of Evendim, those that are fit to travel, will travel in that direction and do what we might to hold the foe at bay, so that when your force arrives, you may crush them, rather than arrive to find only sorrow and ashes. It would be our honour to ensure that a foe worthy of your hammer still awaits you when you arrive."
Sounds like persuade.
Okay. Burning through my hope. We'll get there.
That's a success. Gotta
We
start
need-
racking up some extra ones, though.
How do we get the extras? Some
Roll-
great
roll it.
successes?
Yeah.
Hmm. Not sure.
He goes, "You asked that I send dwarves to rescue men? They were the ones that stopped trading with us simply because the veins of our mountains ran dry. They cared not for us once our riches went the way of so many of your kind, Master Elf, that is, into the ether. Consider this on advisement, but of what benefit is it to me?"
With all due respect, my lord, I think they merely stopped trading with you when there was less to trade. That is just the way of things. I don't think it was any callousness on their part. And besides, it would not even have been these men. The lives of men are short. It would have been their fathers. Perhaps their fathers' fathers. It is hard to remember sometimes that what for us is merely a short span of years may for them be a lifetime. Perhaps, Halmar, you could offer us the perspective of a man on this.
Well, I mean, the men there certainly have no ill blood to the dwarves that I have ever heard, and nor have I, and I have been from the other side of the Misty Mountains all the way to the sea. Dwarves are usually, by and large, by men, held in some esteem as craftsmen, wise in the ways of riches and gems and business. But men are fickle. It is as if one side of the coin or the other. One man can be pure of heart, the other, a villain, and everything in between. So please do not judge us based on just one man or just those people that came before that you rightly, I would guess, turned away due to your instincts. These men could be future allies. They could be your friends. And a debt to repay a great lord such as you, perhaps one day you would be able to collect. And not only would your name grow in the halls of the dwarfs, but the men too. Huh. Such a thing has not happened in many hundreds of years. Perhaps they will say, Lord Mjolin, not only a vanquisher of foes, but a bringer of peace between allies, the men and the dwarves. That would be such a great honor, for although your hammer is strong and your arm ready to destroy your foes, there have been other dwarf lords that could say the same. But what dwarf lord could be a bringer of such peace? I do not know what you think on these matters, but this is my perspective as a man sitting in these great halls and looking at a lordship ready to make his mark on the twilight of his days. I thank you for hearing us. I hope that we can help you bring glory to your house. And he dips his head slightly.
Ah, you are wise beyond your short years, man of Loon. And if we performed such deeds of valor, would the master elf here record my name favorably, or would I be known for managing and lording over the remnants of a once great kingdom?
Aerenduil looks at him when he says that. My lord, we've been discussing recently the history and the legacy of men, of elves, of dwarves alike. And surely any action you take today will be remembered by your people. That is a given. And they will agree with your actions. They will say you made the wise choice. But I see someone sitting there. Someone sitting there who could have their name on the lips of more than just their dwarves, of their men, of the ones they surround themselves with. I see someone sitting there whose name can be remembered by the kingdoms of men, by the kingdoms of elves, all for knowing the appropriate action to take was one of victory and one of coming to aid, assisting, helping when it needed to be. I write your name down in my scrolls, and yes, I know my scrolls are flimsy. They are weak compared to the stones that you etch your histories in. But they are still remembered, and your name can be remembered as well. And he looks around at all the gilding and all the grandeur in here.
So what I want to do... Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, what I was going to do for Finur's turn, because I was looking at your sheet, and he doesn't have anything social. But I can't ignore this excellent role play. So I feel like that was a wisdom play. Halmar, what I want to do is make you do a wisdom check and kind of treat that as your skill check. But I want to give you a +1 bonus because he knows that Aerenduil with that role play can record everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you want me to put a bonus die on there? That's what you want me to do?
Yeah. Yep, just wisdom with a bonus die. And come on, let's hope for some
I'm gonna
tank
use
marks.
hope. I'm gonna use hope.
Okay, so you get 2 bonus die total. We'll be looking at.
It didn't roll right. What was that? That was weird. It didn't give me my bonus die.
Let me roll it off your sheet.
Oh, let's just do that. Try it again. No, it didn't roll. Now it's not even rolling.
Just do that. And then we're going to do that. And you want to take that?
Can't see it. Yeah, I'll take that.
Great success.
Yeah, now it's rolling. That's weird. Anyway. Yeah, I would take a great success.
Make sure we didn't burn through a bunch of hope. Make sure.
Yeah, no, that's right. Because I started at 12.
Okay.
And, maybe it should be 11. I don't know. But
Okay. So
it's
that's 2
about
successes.
right, though, whatever. Yeah, I'll take it.
This next one needs to be good. This next one needs to be good.
Give me
He goes.
Okay, go. Sorry.
Yeah. Somebody else can do another one as he Mjolin kind of looks at you guys like you have an excellent point. Very well, very well. But we have not trusted anyone but one of our own kind for over the last 50 years. Longer than that, 100, 200.
And Aerenduil kind of sheepishly smiles and nods, and then he gestures over to Finur. My lord, is he not one of your kind?
Indeed.
Well, then you will still be trusting your men to one of your kind. Nothing that you say or do is a contradiction to who you are as a dwarf, as someone with stout heart and mind. You will continue to do what is right for your hold, for your dwarves, for your kin, for your legacy. Nothing will change. And Finur here will still be the one to lead these dwarves on this quest. Another dwarf, one you know even, one you trust, one you even have respect for. We also have respect for him. You allowing him to take this group would surely show your wisdom.
And should you wish it, my lord, you do not have to even entrust them to my care. You could send a leader of your own with them, and I will travel at their side and fight by their side. I will go into whatever dangers they do. I ask nothing of you and of them that I do not endure myself, that I do not risk myself.
I would entrust my men to you, Finur. How would you lead them? My heart breaks to do such a thing. How could I trust that their hearts would not fall into darkness leading you? How would you enhearten them?
I will stand with them as I stood upon the walls of the fort, as we look down upon the goblins approaching in their implacable hate. The hearts of the dwarves never faltered, never quailed for one moment. And he raises his voice to kind of project to the room. Thus it has ever been for our people. No matter what odds we face, we do not back down. We do not shy from the fight, from the most difficult of battles. We do what is right. We protect our own, and we protect that which must be protected. This threat will come to your doors in time. We are merely meeting it on the field before it does. We are choosing the time of battle. We are meeting it on our terms, in our time, in a place of our choosing. We will not be victims, chased into our homes, besieged, surrounded. No, we will march out and face this. For thus it has always been for the dwarves. So I'll make an enhearten. I'll chuck yet another hope.
This is the big one, boys. Single success.
Darn it.
But guess what?
I didn't add anything else to that though. Was I meant to?
Nope.
I guess
what? Introduction bonus. You got an extra one. So adding that. Success.
Hey. Nice.
So with the introduction bonus, team effort. Mjolin says, very well. I will give you one regiment of my shield warriors. Go and aid these men near Lake Evendim. And over the next month I will muster our army. And together we will march on the mines in the north. And he kind of comes forward to you and gives you his arm to clasp.
And I will accept it, and I'll bow my head. So I clasp his forearm in brotherhood as warriors, and bow my head to him in respect as a lord, and try and kind of try and do both things at once.
Very well. Well, I will retire now. It has been a long day. We can talk on the morrow. And he kind of stands up and will leave his throne room.
It has been a long day, and I need my milk and bickies. Yes. So yeah, Finur will say, "Thank you, my lord. Your courage and wisdom remain undimmed as I knew they would be. I wish you a good evening."
Aerenduil just gives a slight bow. He looks up while he's bowing, looks up at him, just kind of acknowledging him.
After the Lord leaves, Finur will turn to the others and say, "Well spoken, both of you. We have done what we can for these people, and we will continue. Let us hope it is enough."
Well, I only hope that we are able to get there in time to help those who need our aid. I'm still not sure that we are going to find exactly what we think we're going to find. I'm at a loss for why he thought the men that came previously were of ill intent. That part still confuses me, but we shall see. But we must be wary and we must be on guard.
Well, we have a legion of his dwarf soldiers. Whatever we find, we'll have a chance against it. I doubt the orcs can mass in such numbers to truly put up a fight against such a regiment of dwarfs.
And it's those dwarves in combination with the ones we brought with us here. Surely we will have a decent number as we head north.
Aye. We have no numbers, let us hope they're enough. We know too little of this enemy for my liking. Though if we are right, we have met them. We need more information.
My mind just keeps going back to the dagger, though. The same one we found on the riverbanks a season ago. What does that have to do with this? What does that stone that was taken to Rivendell while we went north to the island, what does that have to do with what's happening now? Are they connected in some way? That's what confuses me. That's what causes me to stop and wonder. It is that mystery that makes me nervous.
Perhaps it is that they are both, or all three, artifacts of Arthedain. I do not know, but it is an ancient ruin of great men. Perhaps something was found there by someone. I do not know. It is only a guess. But as we get closer, we will scout and see what's ahead, so we do not fall into ambush, though I think that is not your main concern.
You're correct, Halmar. Ambush is not my main concern right now, not with these numbers. Any orc would be a fool to try and ambush us now. I am more concerned about what's happening behind the scenes, what's happening behind simple plans of ambush and combat and war.
I wonder if
It's
we
the reason.
could find the tracks of these men and follow them.
Well, I do not know how long ago they were here. Did he say?
Easy enough to find out. Those orcs hadn't been on the road that long. They weren't rotten. Had to be soon. Recently, I think we could get going and perhaps travel light, just the three of us. Perhaps figure out who these men are. Let them talk. Eavesdrop on them. That sort of thing.
Well, if they are within range and we can find them, that is something I would definitely want to do. That is a smart play, Halmar. Something we should look into.
On the morrow, at first light, let's see if we can pick up the tracks.
Aye, it seems like a sound plan.
Agreed.
For too long, I feel like we've been in the dark. The more we can find out, the better.
It is time to go on the attack. And he would finish his tankard of ale and retire for the night so he can get up quite early.
Yeah, and Aerenduil will nod as Halmar makes his way off to whatever chamber he's going to be in, and he'll ask around about any kind of written information about the area up north that he could study while everyone's sleeping. If there's anything about the pass, what is it officially called? I'm sorry, the
Arthedain?
Well, Arthedain, but the dwarven pass, that area right there up there.
Old Dwarf Mines.
The old dwarf mines, yeah. He wants to try and find as much information he can about Arthedain and the old dwarf mines, because technically he only needs like 3 or 4 hours of meditation. So he wants to spend as much time as he can in the evening trying studying the old dwarf mines and Arthedain.
Yeah, you've kind of read these tales about this last king making his last stand in these mines, and it's just like something out of a fairy tale, even though you're in a fairy tale. So it's an uber fairy tale of like, these gallant men of Numenorian descent, like on this bridge of Khazad-dûm almost, but just fending off like goblins and hordes of evil things. But eventually all things fall. And of course, being sullied by goblins nowadays might just be unbearable for your elfish sensibilities.
Yeah, that's how Aerenduil will spend his evening until they leave.
For Finur, it's going to be a fairly quiet one. He's very preoccupied, so he'll make conversation, but he's a little distracted, a little absent, nursing his ale a little longer than he normally does, perhaps missing a joke a little longer than he normally does, etc. Still deep in thought.
And I think with that, I think we'll just end it tonight. So short and sweet.